Welcome to the July 28, 2015 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in a pledge of allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for the individuals serving our nation. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen.
The clerk will please call the roll.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan?
Here.
Mr. Vanderhoff?
Here.
Mayor Wenderfield?
Here. There are no presentations scheduled for this evening, so at this time, are there reports or comments from any volunteers serving our community? Ed?
Ed Engelbart, 64 Hopper Avenue, Pompton Plains. I am also a member of the Historic District Commission and the Township Historian. I just wanted to thank a number of people for their participation in the activities that took place on July 18th, which was the Food Truck Day and part celebration of the 275th anniversary of Pequannock Township. And I want to thank Mayor Winterfield for being there, for her comments about the history of the town. I also want to thank those councilmen that were present as well. And in addition, I wanted to thank Randy Schomburg of the Chamber of Commerce, who made available, I believe, 275 t-shirts as a remembrance of that day and of the town's history. And I also want to thank Anna Lee, who was there with regard to the Unico activities, the sign, and the fact that she was involved with getting the 275 cupcakes, which, by the way, I don't think I got one. I must have got
I had one, don't worry.
It was on the food truck lineup, okay? In the meantime, I also want to thank Stop and Shop as well for making available some donation toward those cupcakes. In addition, I want to thank members of the Pequannock Historic Society for being there, as well as members of the Historic District Commission for being there and being active with activities for the 275th. I also want to pass something out to the council. As you know, the council is moving ahead, hopefully, with regard to the purchase of the Martin Berry House. The other day, I went to the library, to the history room, and I went through the file on the Martin Berry House, and I picked up some information which Eleanor Bogert at the time was involved with, together with a high school student, an 11th grader from Butler High School, who participated in a contest. And that contest was based upon a competition in which she had to defend an issue in a magazine which was sponsored by the state of New Jersey, a number of colleges, as well as a number of school districts that had representatives. The magazine was called The Cockpit, and it was called The Cockpit because it was like different persons writing in defending a particular point of view. And in the case of the Martin Berry House, this student had to write a defense of the Martin Berry House as a place possessing exceptional architectural interest and as being worthy of most careful preservation for the benefit of future generations. Not just simply in Pequannock, but also within the state and within the country. And the defense was put in this magazine. It's an excellent commentary about the history of the Martinberry House, who owned it, and why it should be preserved. So I would like to pass this out to the council people, and I gotta get, actually have 8 people here, 3. That I hope at some point in your leisure you'll read it, and it will kind of refresh your memory as to decisions that have been made with regard to this council, as well as the Morris County Historic Preservation Trust Fund, as it relates to the decisions that have been made. I also just want to pass something else. I don't have a copy for everyone. These are Xerox copies of some pictures that Eleanor had gotten from a former owner of the property. And as you know, Eleanor goes back to 1951 when she purchased it. And these pictures go back to October 1 of 1893.
Wow.
Okay, so they show what the property was like. Unfortunately, the quality of the pictures is not the greatest, and the copying didn't help matters. But it gives you an idea of what this site was like and how rural and how dominating of a particular house that house was in the township. Excuse me? Route 23, what is Route 23?
It's not there.
There was a road which didn't flood. It was called the North Pompton Turnpike.
Isn't that over here?
Yeah, it's this one here.
King's
Right.
Highway.
And at the height of this house here, it was 53 acres. Within the collection of material from Eleanor, it also mentioned the acreage at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're seeing is the house, the barns that were there, and you're seeing, and I think for the south side, if you ever went into Eleanor's house, at the very, very, very top, there's an arched window toward the peak.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look one of the pictures there, you can see part of that arch in the photograph, and it's looking across to what would, behind the trees would be the Pompton River. So it's an interesting commentary that has survived, not in the best condition of what our community was like back in 1893. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I thank you very much for your activities.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other volunteers? Okay. The next item on the agenda is public comments. The public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. Any additional period of public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone. Provide your name and address for the record. Anyone? Ben, you're first.
Go ahead, Nat.
Number 1.
Good evening. My name is Nat Arkin. I'm a resident of Cedar Crest, and I'm a member of the Coalition Against Pilgrim Pipeline. At the last council meeting that I attended, we talked about the fact that we felt we had been successful in having the towns not part of the New Jersey pass opposition resolutions. Pilgrim, however, was not deterred, and they're continuing to plow ahead. The leadership of CAP, the acronym for the coalition, has decided that we should move it up a notch, and that notch is represented by ordinances by the towns in this part of the state. When we talked about this, after the meeting, we felt that there was, well, you expressed concern yourselves that a legal challenge would result in legal expenses that you were not anxious to incur.
Sure.
So we thought that at this meeting, we should attempt to address those legal concerns, and that's what I will try to do. First, an announcement, somewhat personal in nature. Just as we've been here talking to you about Pilgrim, I and other members here have been talking to the administration at Cedar Crest, asking them to, in effect, issue an opposition resolution similar to the one that you all issued last year. It has taken us almost a year to get there, but they finally issued one yesterday, and I believe you now have copies of that letter. So they have, without qualification, said that they now oppose oppose Pilgrim.
They oppose Cedar?
There are times when we feel the other is true too. Okay, I have a number of points in connection with the legal challenge that you're concerned about. First, there's no question there is a possibility that they could challenge an ordinance if they wanted to put a pipeline through Pequannock, and our ordinance said that building of any pipeline is prohibited. That could happen. So there is a risk of that. But we believe there's a greater risk of not passing an ordinance, and I will get to that in a little bit. As you know, at this point, there are 4 towns which have issued that type of a resolution, ordinance, and the 5th one is close to doing it. I think it's Montrose. So we would suggest that you talk to your opposite numbers in these 4 towns that have done it. They must have confronted the same question of a legal challenge that you're facing, and somehow they got past it and felt that the ordinance better served the interests of their community than no ordinance. So, number 1, speak to your counterparts. Number 2, that was number 2. Number 3, in the event that you do pass an ordinance and at some point you're worried very much about the legal challenge if one comes about, we believe there's also now, you have an exit ramp, which would be a variance presented to Pilgrim, so that if at some point they instituted a challenge and you didn't want to be involved, you could give them a variance and it would go away. Number 4, I said before that no ordinance has a risk too, and by that I mean, think of it as Pilgrim. If they have an opportunity to go through a town with their pipeline, which has an ordinance, and one which does not. So one involves, let's say, a legal challenge, which could be costly, time-consuming. The other one is kind of an open free pass. So they would go to the town that did not have the ordinance. Now, let's assume, God forbid, that the town which allowed Pilgrim to come through now has 2 oil pipelines in the town, and something happens. Could be a leak, could be a fracture, could even be worse. And let's say there are people in town who are damaged by it, either their personal health, their property, their homes. They will turn around, as you know, and they will now sue the town, saying, you could have protected us with an ordinance, you didn't do it. And that would be the basis for their suit. So, yes, the possibility, there's a risk that there will be a challenge. We think the lack of an ordinance presents a greater risk to the town. Number 5, there is strength in numbers. If we now have 4, we're close to 5, we would like to see Pequannock be number 6 in terms of an ordinance. And the more towns that have an ordinance, I think the more it'll get Pilgrim's attention that they don't want to engage with a large number of towns. So that's one advantage to the fact that we see a growing number of towns that are passing ordinances. Also, we believe that state and federal state officials will take notice of the fact that towns in our part of the state are issuing these ordinances, and I think it'll catch their attention, and they will be talking to the regulators that Pilgrim will have to go to, and I think that'll be a benefit for us. As a matter of fact, we've already seen that the New Jersey Assembly, New Jersey Senate has passed opposition resolutions, and I believe there is a bill in the Senate now, and I think Cody may be the sponsor of the bill, which in effect would be similar to an ordinance in terms of prohibition. Also, our Congressman, Frelinghuysen, has taken a public position in opposition to, to Pilgrim. So the weight of the pressure, the towns, by town officials, by state officials, and even federal officials, is against Pilgrim. And from my standpoint, our standpoint, that's a good thing. And the final point in connection with the strength in numbers is if it does come to a lawsuit, then there's an opportunity to do some cost sharing among the towns. And I believe that the mayor of Chatham has suggested a meeting of mayors who are affected by Pilgrim, meet and discuss that issue, decide how they would share costs if there is a legal challenge, share the cost of legal expenses. So much for responding to the legal challenge part. We have also been in discussions recently, Ken Dolsky and myself and John Bannon, talking to the legal team at the Eastern Environmental Law Center. We've been talking to them about the problems that we're facing here in terms of concern about a legal challenge, and they have given us some advice. And one of them is that time is not on our side. The longer we delay putting in a ordinance, the more difficult it will be for us to defend our position, and the easier it will be for Pilgrim to proceed. In fact, the lawyer we spoke to at the law center cautioned us that if Pilgrim has devoted a lot of resources, for example, purchasing property, obtaining easements, they could be grandfathered in the event that we had an ordinance that we said, you know, you can't build through our township. It could also, in the event of a lawsuit, be considered a discriminatory or retaliatory action on the part of the town. If after they have filed, we then adopted an ordinance. So the sooner the better on the ordinance. And as I said before, there is strength in numbers, both in terms of cost sharing and in terms of the weight of public opinion. He talked to us about wording in the ordinance that would strengthen our position, and he said that one of the things that could be done is incorporate into the ordinance setbacks. For example, that the pipeline could not come within 500,000 feet of a water system in town, a church, a hospital, a school.
But excuse me, when you came last council meeting and we spoke about all these similar issues, and you have some more information tonight, we had talked about it here about sending this to the planning board, which we have, and we're asking them for their input and insight, because normally that's where we would want this to come out of, for them to vet out most of these issues. And I don't know if you've spoken to any planning boards or any things on how they feel all about this, rather than the council doing that. We I think all of us unanimously really want that input from our planning board before we move forward. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
We did attend the planning board meeting. We did the meeting of the environmental
I believe the
commission.
planning board meeting told you that they would discuss it, and they have not. Right.
We told them that you all were waiting for it to be initiated at some other place. They were surprised to hear that.
No,
Their response to us was, they were expecting you to initiate it through a preparation of an ordinance, give it to them to evaluate, and then report on it.
no, that's not how it works here.
You gave the package, they said there's a lot of information to review, which they were going to review, and we'll discuss it at our next meeting.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know that. The impression that I was not at the planning board. I was at the environmental commission meeting, and the people who went told me that that was a surprise to the planning board.
Well, it probably was the first time they were handed information to read.
So it had,
Yeah.
they have to look through it.
Right.
Right,
So it's not, that's kind of where we're at right now.
So you're just,
We really need to wait for the planning board to get back to us. We're not gonna do anything here, no matter, right at the moment,
Right.
we're not gonna do anything.
Right.
But we hear back from the planning board.
All right, let me sum up.
I mean, there's never enough information, but that's the way we want to conduct this.
Is there at this time, you mean?
Excuse me?
Is there enough time, information?
Is there enough time? I would assume there's enough time. I mean, the planning board meets regularly, and it's not like they can't get on our agenda and us on their agenda. I mean, I don't think there's any kind of issues. I mean, is there enough time? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. You know, when the Pilgrim's going to apply and we're going to have it done. I know that when we finally decide on ordinances, it doesn't take a long time to put them through when we're very serious about what we finally decided on.
Okay, my message is based on discussions with the the Eastern Environmental Law Center, is that time is not on our side. So basically, we have time constraints. We are recommending that the council set some kind of a schedule for the planning board and perhaps the environmental commission to report back to you, and perhaps even set a date for yourselves at which you will vote on whether or not you want to go ahead with an ordinance. And if there aren't such dates set, we're just concerned that it kind of could drift off into the sunset.
We hear what you're saying. We hear what you're saying.
So is that, yes, you would consider setting a schedule for that?
I have to wait for the planning board to review the material that was given to them, and then from that, then we can decide exactly what way we're going. And that's not long from now. 6 weeks tops.
Okay, just,
Yeah.
I know this is impossible to say with,
I know what you're saying. I know time is of the essence. I understand. I've got the message loud and clear.
okay,
I did.
all right.
I believe everybody does. Yeah,
Thank you all very much.
you're welcome. Is there anyone else?
John Bannon, Greenleaf Court, Cedar Crest. In view of what you just said, I'm not going to waste any time. You're not ready for it yet. So I'll save my remarks for another meeting when you're a little more further advanced. Okay, so thank you for your attention.
Oh, thank you.
And I hope you read some of the material we gave you.
We do.
Specifically had something for Dave I wanted to discuss, but he's not here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Androssi, Winfield Drive in Parsippany. I will be very brief. I wanted to just mention something that I've been told independent of your process regarding your planning board, and this was from the coalition attorney who worked on this ordinance. We had a lot of discussions about how to approach it and everything. But one of the things that she told us was that ordinances have more power and are more defendable when they come from an elected body rather than from a planning board. And that's what she said to me.
I don't know.
No, I'm not going
Yeah.
To draft it, to review it,
I understand.
But
I understand.
We're the ultimate.
In our case, we almost always have our ordinances originate with review by the planning board. So I think in our case, it may be in some cases that so, but I think in our case, an ordinance that goes through our process has some more credibility. It's less political, it's more planning related.
Okay.
And we rely on our planning board here to do a lot of that for us. So I think it depends on the town. But for us,
Maybe
I
it's
would
the
really
form of
strongly
government.
disagree. I think for us, the fact that our planning board gets involved in it gives us a recommendation,
Yeah.
strengthens our position.
Yeah, and I think her take was basically in terms of defending it rather than anything else, rather
And
than the
she's certainly correct
efficiency or the value of the process.
Yeah, she's certainly correct that once it comes, the fact that an ordinance is adopted has a lot more validity than than a planning board decision
Right.
not based on an ordinance. So to that extent, I agree, but our process and the importance of us following our process.
But I could see in defense, though, that it would be more political if it came to us as opposed to the planning board, where they would have a stronger case against us, that we just did this to retaliate.
Without any review by our professionals, without
Right.
any,
Yes, I completely disagree.
And when you do an ordinance, you don't look at one, and we acknowledged that at the last meeting, you don't look at Pilgrim Pipeline, you look at any potential pipeline,
Right.
any potential applicant for it. And when doing an ordinance, you view it broadly and you follow public policy to get there.
Right.
That's what we're gonna do if we go forward with this. We're gonna do it based on that kind of an analysis, and that usually is generated.
And I think it would really stand out if we did something different than what we normally do. That would really be odd, you know?
Yeah, I've dealt with other towns and done ordinances, and I don't know exactly what goes on between them and the planning board. But, you know, I just
Every town.
just wanted to make that statement.
Right.
The other thing, totally separate issue, well, related to Pilgrim, and that is that we're asking you to rescind the permission that you have already given Pilgrim to survey. And the reason is that they may need to survey again. It may be in conjunction with their applications to the DEP. The DEP may have questions for them that would require them to go back and survey, and leaving that permission open just makes it easier for them. At this point, I don't know whether it's really that critical, but I would ask that you rescind that permission and not let them do any further surveying in Pequannock.
Without the township manager here, we won't do that.
Can you bring it to the township manager, or do we have to come back and ask it next
He's
meeting?
on vacation.
No, I'm saying,
For the future.
to you, the town council, bring it to him, or do we have to come back and ask?
No, we'll mention it to him.
Well, he'll get all the information about what happened at tonight's meeting.
Okay,
And Mr. Cordell's filling in for him. He'll make sure he hears everything that was said tonight.
all right. I know he thought there
The
would,
decision's already made.
He already did once. He's asking him. It was given. It was.
yes, I
No,
know,
no, it presumes a decision has already been made.
No decision made. He's asking. He's making a request. So he just asked him to open up dialogue.
Decision was made to allow them to do survey.
That was a while ago.
But that was before it all came,
That was probably last fall,
it's
right?
before the opposition came.
Right.
right, so I know, you know, individual homeowners can rescind it. I'm assuming that towns can rescind that permission as well. So, thank you very much.
All right. You're welcome.
Excuse me, John Bannick, I forgot to mention that the bill by Senator Cody is 2748. He's had a recent death in his family. He's sort of a bit out of action. But it's before the environmental committee down at the Senate under Bob Smith. And we won't be able to get anything done until Thursday of this week at the situation down there. So I don't know if you're in touch with Trenton and who the liaison with them, but that's who's handling it at the moment. So thank you.
Thank you. Sharon?
Good evening, Council. Sharon Taylor, 19 Libby Avenue, Pompton Plains section of Pequannock Township. I just had two comments. The first one is, and I'm not sure how many people do this, but I'd like to thank the Township, DPW, and all the members that were involved for repaving Libby Avenue, White Birch, and Davis. And I see that there's some more road work going on. It's just been the past few years, I think I've noted, and some people may have called in about a lot of damage that was done to the road, but I can't tell you how many people were very happy, and it was just very enlightening to see a lot of the kids smiling and riding their bikes and just really being appreciative of what the township has done. So I just like to say thank you very much, and thank you for being patient with us when we always ask for these requests. But they've done a great job, and we're very happy. So thank you. And I hope that it continues, where we just continue to keep repaving and working on the sidewalks to make it a safe environment for everyone. Just a question on the pipeline. You were talking about, as you review the analysis from the data that's given to the planning board, does the township work with other planning boards and other councils that are on the same boat as we are with the feeling of it? Do the townships collaborate on the analysis as well, or is it just solo?
I would have to say it's solo.
Yeah. I would say that maybe the environmental commissions, Melissa, sometimes do they get together, because I know the flooding does, the environmental commissions from other towns. It'd be more like the commissions getting together and recommending to the councils and to the planning bodies.
Because, how much data, how much is too much data, or how much is not enough? So that may be something that the township may want to look into as they look into the analysis part. I'm sure other townships have more data that could be used as well, so. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Louise?
Louise Marchese of 16 Roland Road. I'm speaking both as a resident and also as a member of EDC. I know I've complained about stores before, but I have additional complaints along those lines. As I mentioned, I'm walking, since it's a walkable community, and I'm noticing lots and lots of stuff. In particular, I'm sure you're all familiar with the corner where Bill's arrangement is. Store is absolutely exquisite, to say the least. It's beautiful. The marquee sign. On the side, they have an entrance. They have an awning, the same as the sign, the same colors, the same pattern. It's a beautiful store. Unfortunately, next to it is 2 empty stores. We can't help this. We have empty stores. Other towns have empty stores. But the way they're being kept is a disgrace. These 2 stores in particular, they have some brown paper on the door, and that's it. The windows are absolutely filthy. If you can see inside the store, you can see how dirty that is. My main concern, though, is on the store where Pals used to be. Now, to my recollection, they took the sign down right away. The bracket is still there. It is totally rusted. It is totally corroded. It is disgusting. Now, I go to other towns, in particular, recently, Summit, Chatham, Westfield, Somerville. Their empty stores don't look like this. They have empty stores, too. They put paper on the inside, a mural-type paper. People know they're empty stores, but they make them look decent. And they don't leave up brackets. I've never seen that before. Never seen that before. It should not be allowed. And if we don't have an ordinance, maybe we have to put one in effect. Because if you start hitting people in their pocketbook, things are going to change. But on a better note, I happened to be walking Sunday evening, and I was in front of Tiny Trends and Hair to Die For. Well, the landlord was outside, and he's put flower beds in front of the stores. And he was there with 2 other people, and they were doing some pruning and pulling up some weeds and watering the flowers. And I started a conversation with him. I identified myself as a member of EDC, of course, and he said he's a landlord. And he says, look, I've painted the eaves. I want to make this building beautiful. I want to keep it beautiful. So it's not all the landlords. It definitely isn't. And I mean, those 2 stores, their windows shine. Right. I mean, they're inviting. People want to go in there. The other thing I wanted to mention, the last thing is trees along the turnpike on the Pequannock end of town. They have like a cement perimeter around them. Most of them are broken. Is the town responsible for replacing them, and when can we have that done? Because all the ones I saw were all broken.
Yeah, that was part of the walkable. Yeah, well, before that, when they did the streetscape and all that. And
Yeah, the town did do it. We brought that up a year or so ago.
I don't know how much is involved in the walkables community, revamping of that area of it. I would think it may be. I don't know. I'm going to have to really ask Dave about that.
But it is
in disrepair.
As far as those perimeters, that's
I know
the
what you're
town's
talking about.
responsibility because it's the town's tree. Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah. And I have to say, on your first comments, the health officer here, Pete, has been writing feverishly on everything that you said.
Right. What I don't understand is if I was a landlord, I want my building to look good to be able to
Absolutely.
rent it. I just don't understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. If you want to rent something, you don't want it to look like a garbage hole.
Right. You want people to see a nice place to rent.
You know what, Louise, we're going to look into it a little bit further.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know we made a comment last time, but
I'm going to keep, I'm going to keep plugging away.
No, but
and I'm going to keep looking for town.
It doesn't make sense to me why a landlord would let his building fall apart and then want to rent it. It just doesn't make sense.
And it's not as if the next person can use it. You know, there's no way. It's totally corroded. And it's nice to see that Tiny Trends, finally, they got that old sign down and they put a smaller one, but it's still very attractive. Thank you for listening to me.
No, you're welcome. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, we're going to have a brief closed session on a property acquisition, but we are going to allow you to stay in your seats, and we're going to just go in the back room for a few minutes, and then we'll come back, so just relax. Put the air back up if you want the air on. And so I have a motion to go into close.
I'll make a motion to go into close.
Okay, all in favor?
July 27, 2015. We went over the legal issues concerning the terms and conditions contained in the contract and ended our closed session with that.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is a public hearing on ordinance 2015-07. Ms. Marsh?
This is an ordinance authorizing the execution of a contract for the purchase of Block 1404, Lot 11, which is 581 Route 23 from Eleanor Bogart. And the public hearing for this was carried from July 14th.
Okay. Does anyone on council have any comments or questions?
We're all good? We're good.
If so, I'd like to make a motion that we move to final adoption on this.
I think we need to do a public hearing.
Oh, all right. I thought we, all right, open for public hearing.
I'll make a motion to open for public hearing.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Does anyone in the public have any comments on the property acquisition? Ellen?
Motion to close.
Second.
All right. Roll call?
No, we gotta say, we're all in favor?
Oh, aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That should make us roll call, whatever. Okay. All right. So now I can,
Yes.
yeah, move to final adoption.
We gotta close public
Can I
hearing
make a,
first.
does anyone make a motion?
You want me to-
You can.
I thought you, all right, I'll make a motion.
Yeah, I'm a little confused.
I'll second.
I thought you did already.
No, that was for the public hearing.
Okay.
That was for the public
Got
hearing.
it. I-
That's not on
all
the
right, I
agenda,
made the
but
motion
we're
and
adding
Dave-
that, I
okay.
guess.
2015-07, and Dave
I'll
seconded
Dave
it.
seconded it. Okay.
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mr. Vanderhoff,
No.
Mayor Winterfield.
Yes. Okay. We'll move on to the next item.
Can I just stand up for a minute?
Yeah, you want to stand up? Okay.
I
Hey,
just
hey,
wanted to
this is
thank the
public comment.
council
He had
for
it, yeah.
this decision. I know it's been a long, hard process, but we're gonna do everything possible to make this work. We want to work with the council. We know it's gonna be a step-by-step process, but there is a process that's available. We want to make sure that this works out, and there will be down the road an agreement between the Pequannock Township Historic Society and the township in order to determine responsibilities and involvement.
Okay, just so everybody's aware, there's still a long road with this contract. There are certain things in the contract that we're able to walk away from this on some issues. So even though we accepted this contract tonight, there are still some open issues that will have to be dealt with further down the road. So please understand that.
And those will be such things as, you know, an in-depth inspection of the property and the improvements around there.
It's only- You're only halfway through the process.
You're only halfway through the process, but you're making progress.
All right.
One more step.
That's, at least we understand where things are at this point.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
You're welcome. Okay. Next is hearing 2015-08. Ms. March?
We can't, the planning board was not able to push back on this yet.
Okay, so do you want to make a motion to carry that then?
We have to carry 2015-08 and 2015-09.
All right. Do we have to motion them separately or together?
No, we can do them together.
Okay.
Now, can I just ask, is it just because they didn't have a quorum, or
They
they
didn't have a
haven't?
quorum. Jay and I could not vote.
Okay.
May I ask, are you moving this to a date certain, or are you
They're
just?
not having a meeting until sometime in maybe September
Third Monday in August.
or
So-
September.
So we should.
So you're not really sure, which means we'll have to renotice.
Well, or we can, why don't we just carry it to the second August meeting? Because chances are by then it will be ready. and we
Okay,
won't
that's
have
fine. So our second August meeting.
Our second August, right.
But we're not sure we're having a August meeting.
Well, then we'll carry it
Understood, but
again.
we can carry it again, as opposed to having to republish it.
Is it something we said?
Hey, come back! You can't leave now.
So the planning board's still not going to probably vote on that until September?
They might not.
Okay.
All right,
Only
so,
the planning board is good with it, but we don't have, there wasn't a quorum to
Got it.
officially pass it.
and they need to do that.
Jay and I were not capable, or not able to vote on that.
Okay. All right, so Rich, are you making a motion for both?
I'm making a motion to carry 2015-08 and 09 until the meeting, our second meeting in August.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mr. Vanderhoff,
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield.
Yes. Okay, next on the agenda are ordinance for introduction. There are no ordinance scheduled at this time. Next are items and resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
Resolution 2015-134, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. Resolution 2015-135, authorizing tax office transfer of duplicate payments. 136, pre-adopting the Morris County Multi-Jurisdictional Multi-Hazard Mitigation Plan. 137, approving the designated special event permit application. 138, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. 139, approving the renewal of the designated alcoholic beverage control licenses, and just that is all of them. It's all of the currently issued licenses.
Yes, saw that.
Resolution 2015-140, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the July 24th, 2015 bill list, and our 2015-141, which was added, authorizing the acceptance of a hold harmless agreement from Jonathan Pera and Amy Pera for 2 Reynolds Road, which is block 4204, lot 13.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments on these resolutions from council?
Well, yeah, why are we, I'm a little confused on 2015-141.
That one was
Well,
added.
that's for an easement that exists, and they want to pave their driveway. So this will hold us harmless if we have to do repairs, that we're not going to fix the driveway. They will have to do that if they want.
Okay. Typically, you cannot, this easement would have precluded somebody putting their driveway over the easement, and I think it's a new driveway or an expansion to the driveway.
It's their request.
It would have been prevented by the easement.
Okay.
They would like to do it. Our engineering and construction people don't object to them doing it, but in the event we need to access our easement, they're gonna have to understand that the cost of repairing their driveway is gonna be on them.
Okay, so to give you an example, I have a township easement in the back of my yard, approximately 20 feet. If I wanted to expand my fence into that easement area, I would have to have a hold harmless in case you had to knock my fence down.
We would probably do offer the same thing, and we have done this before for residents.
So it's not an unusual.
It really isn't an unusual
What type of
request.
easement is it?
I think this is
Utility?
it's
It's like a utility.
yeah, it is a underground utility
Yeah, it
easement.
is.
So
It's
it's just if they had to go under the ground.
Okay.
But when it costs the town more money to go under a driveway than whatever's there.
That's why they're gonna have to, that's why that's gonna be on them. If something happens to the driveway, it's gonna be on them.
It won't be that much. And they'll have no mercy, I'm
They get a
sure.
backhoe in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, do you have any questions on anything?
I'm good.
Melissa?
No, the only other thing I was going to say, I know we got the the supplemental document earlier on the hazard mitigation plan, but since Pete's here, I wondered is there any summary to give to that, or you don't think there's anything necessary to discuss here? I mean,
I have several questions.
It was
too.
a very in-depth, report, but I didn't know if it was something Pete could address or whether we need to wait for Dave on that.
Well, what is pre-adopting mean, too?
You're adopting the draft that's going to be rewritten, and you're going to adopt the written plan later on.
Okay, so this is a draft, so all my comments,
Yeah, so the priorities can be changed.
I feel better now.
Time is up.
Okay.
Right, time is up.
Yeah, because I wasn't ready to vote on it.
Because this really doesn't say draft, but it is a draft.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, it
That's
does
right,
say draft
pre-adoption,
when you
okay.
look
Yeah,
inside.
because there's several things on here that I just think are missing in errors and things like that.
Right.
Okay.
That
then
was my
So
concern.
do we want to approve the draft or not approve the draft? That is.
Well, the draft is the draft. There's nothing you.
I mean, do we feel like this one should be pulled out, or do we
The
feel like
draft
we
is
can?
draft, but I don't approve what's in the draft.
You're pre-adopting.
I'm
Pre-adopting,
pre-adopting something
you're
I don't.
I take it this is to meet some requirement.
Otherwise, you're precluded from grants.
Okay, so we're gonna
This is being
adopt
done
the
to meet
grant.
the obligations for the grant.
So we should pass it. Okay.
I guess somehow it just should be noted that it's, well, I
A
guess.
draft.
It's poorly written. How's that sound?
Because I was just afraid, yeah, because I read things in here and then I had some questions and now it doesn't even matter if it's a draft.
It's a draft.
Yeah. Because it's old. Because some of the things that I say in here really concern me is, I don't know if you're involved in this at all, Pete, but it says that political is currently supported by the governing body. And I'm like, well, somebody says, I don't even know what they are.
Yeah, the engineering, you mean the rating system?
These things back here?
Right.
Yeah, the rating system is quite involved. The engineering department did that to get it in on time, and it is subject to interpretation. It's very subjective. Right.
Yeah, but you read that and it says that this governing body supports these things.
Yes,
Well,
I read that. I did read that.
You did read that, right?
Yeah, I read the whole
This is how things get misconstrued later on, and somebody says that you,
That's why it's a
Kathy,
yeah,
I support this in draft.
I support it, and well, so look at how fine, there, and now I see it on the back.
Yeah, I support this in
Yeah, as
draft.
long as we're doing it in draft and we can make,
All right.
ask questions
That just needs to
and
be
change
noted,
later.
Carol, that this is a draft that we are approving, that we by no means have supported what some of these statements in the back. You know, because this is the first time we're seeing it. So, or even have really like read through it. Okay, so you have any more questions?
So-
On any of the resolutions?
No, I'm good.
Jay, do you have any questions on any of the resolutions? Do you have a motion to move the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-134 through 2015-141 with the notation that, hold on, 136 is just a draft.
I'll
In
second
draft
that.
only.
Okay, roll call.
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mr. Vanderhoff,
Yes.
Mayor Winterfield.
Yes. Great, we got through that. Pete, do you know when we'll see that again? Like in another format?
This is government.
Yeah, I know, I asked to open it.
No,
I just wanna make sure we-
When he sets up a work session, that you go over with the engineer department and flesh out the criteria for each of them.
Especially because they're making commitments on our behalf. Okay. Next on the agenda, items for discussion. The item listed is scheduled for public hearing on August 11th.
Right, we had talked about this already. This is the extension of the sewer line
Yeah.
to,
Right, and this
Yeah,
ordinance
businesses.
now
Who's got
is,
that? That you, Pete, or Bob, you got anything to say?
I think it's really just listed so that we note that it's gonna be on for August 11th.
Okay.
That's correct, yes.
well, there's also the draft here of the ordinance.
If anybody-
Right, right. Okay. Next on the agenda is report and notices. Are there any comments or questions from anyone? Okay, managers report.
hey, go ahead, Pete.
Well, I guess, next week we'll be receiving the bids for the solid waste,
Oh,
recycling,
good.
and vegetative waste, so we'll get them. And,
Oh, you're gonna
I'm
speak
sure
to the
we-
mic so they...
Dave, I'm sure will report back. I'm done. I know, I got it.
You can hear.
Okay, Frank, I got it. That's it.
We're going to be receiving the bids for the solid
We're
waste
gonna
next
receive
week.
the bids for solid waste next Thursday.
Okay. Next on the items are the agenda's council reports and announcements. Councilman Cole?
I just wanted to say it was a great turnout, like Ed said, to celebrate our 275th birthday at PV Park, and thanks to everyone involved. This past weekend, Parks and Rec held their summer theater program, which was Mary Poppins, and I heard nothing but great reviews about it. So thanks to everyone involved with that, and the hoedown is September 19th.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of things coming in September and October. Councilman Florence Lynch?
I just wanted to ask, where were we with that property on New Reed Street that we talked about last time?
Dave has to get back to us.
Oh, okay.
He's
Yeah,
doing
'cause-
some, he wanted to do some follow-up before we had an ordinance put together.
Okay, all right. That was
He's
my
got
only-
an ordinance draft, but I think he
Alright.
wanted to do some
And
follow-up.
we were also trying to see if that price that they offered was okay, which they pulled right out of the tax record. They just took the assessment, I think they added $200 to it.
Yeah.
They took the assessment out of the tax
Yeah,
record.
he said not to go by that.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so I got some new
I
numbers.
rode by, you can't tell that there's township-owned property between those two houses.
Right, because of the fence and the mow it.
Been that way a long time, I guess.
So forth and so on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else, Melissa?
Well, then wait, we must have been looking at the wrong property. Isn't it the one went straight ahead?
Yeah.
You said, yeah, but it's all mowed and nice.
Right.
Oh, I
That's
thought you
what
were
I'm
saying it
saying,
was
you
bad.
can't tell that there's
Oh.
township-owned property.
It looks like someone's using it.
It looks like
It looks like
somebody's using
somebody's
it,
property.
right, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
Down the street, there's another one down there that's really bad. I'm trying to think if we have anything else. Senior Advisory Committee met this morning. I had some,
The new
Thing.
members, too?
yeah, new members, and I
Okay.
have a couple of things, just, I can follow up with Dave later on them, just little things. They're still having trouble trying to figure out how to
The money?
do the money, the finances, like when they want to buy paper products and stuff for their events. So I don't know if there's a way to do a kitty or, a
There's gotta
slush
be a
fund.
better way.
There's got to be a better way for them, so I'll have to follow up with him on that. Other than that, I heard the tax bills went out today. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
my taxes went up 2.44%, if anybody's interested. So I'm now paying $13,000
Yeah.
a month.
Nothing else.
Get those schools done.
So it's my turn to comment?
Wait till the fence is done.
You're waiting till the fence is done.
Yeah, right? No, it's not. Oh, yes, it is your house.
Oh, okay. Melissa, I want to follow up on Melissa. I noticed the tax bills are out, and my taxes went up 2.44%, which is quite a bit in my opinion.
How much is your credit for your picked corner?
For $46 and some odd cents. So my taxes actually increased by $323.29.
And then you got your credit.
That's,
If they're Pequannock, it's $67, so it's only,
so it's 2.44% increase over last year.
Play that number.
What's that?
Play that number.
Well, we gotta do a better job. We all have to do a better job with the taxes.
Talk to the
That's
Board
it.
of Ed.
Okay.
We're good.
Okay.
Taxes.
I just want to follow up on the 275th. It was a great event. Parks and Rec did a really great job with the trucks and all that. There were lines everywhere. People were really happy. The rain held out. It was really a fun day. So I have to really applaud Parks and Recs for that. Okay. Next on the agenda, public comment. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized. Come to the microphone, provide your name and address for the record. Anyone? Martin, we did approve everything. In case you, I just wanted to see how long I'd let you sit.
Hi, Martin Williams, Rampart Road. I was thinking about, I heard about it in the hallway. Thank you.
But as I
Thank you.
told them, and I'll say the same thing to you, still a long ways to go because there's many things in that contract.
There's some milestones, yeah.
Yes, many things to do, and we, you know, we have to start working on our agreement between the society and the town for running the property, and just like all sorts of stuff to do. But this is an important milestone, and it's great to get over this step.
Yes,
Now
it
we
is.
have concrete things we can be working on.
Exactly, and people, yeah, now that they feel that it's really concrete, I know that they're just gonna really get
Yep,
into high gear.
yep,
Yeah.
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? You're good? Frank, are you coming? Oh, okay. We don't have any more closed sessions.
I have-
That's enough? Okay, so there's no further closed session. Minutes? There were minutes? I read them.
Yes, I read them too. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second, there you go.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so there's no closed session, we have minutes, okay. The motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Hey, you
Favor?
guys, too fast down on the edge of the.
Yeah, really.
I know.